Is that okay?
We're probably live already, but just...
You are?
Oh. Hello. Are we live? Okay. Until I have the go-ahead. I don't know.
Are we official?
Like
Like
looking at your sub channel, so I'm pretty sure you're live.
you're pretty sure we're live. I feel dead.
Okay. Yep. You are live.
Hello. Oh yeah, we were live. Okay, so I am Tara, the author of the BanDana cookbook, which I wrote with my mom Jill, and we have our friend BanDana Gramma here from Maryland, who's going home tomorrow.
Yep.
And Mom's going home tomorrow. So we have been cranking out the videos today.
Hey, Penny G says, "Yeah, Mom's like to watch you."
Penny!
Oh, hi, Penny.
Hi, Danny.
I was just talking about going to Michigan. What was I saying about that? Something about the flight or something. I can't remember. So today we are doing 15 money-saving tips. Each of us are going to do 5, and hopefully we'll be done in an hour. We hope. And I just thought we have 3 different people who do things 3 different ways, so we could get 3 different
Perspectives.
perspectives. You know, I was kind of
On a lot
saying
of things.
Susie loves to can, I love to freeze, and Mom likes to dehydrate. So I thought, well, that might be a way for us to do some different things. So let's.
Springfield Ridge Farm says you all look very patriotic.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Independence Day, everyone.
Yes.
Happy 4th of July. Should we start singing? Oh, say, can you see? Okay. Never mind. No one wants to hear that. All right. So
They're asking for more.
we are going to start with Susie.
Okay.
Tip number 1.
Tip number 1. We'll start small here.
Work our way up.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be gentle on them, huh?
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about, of course we don't eat out a lot if we're frugal. But when we do eat out, sometimes drinks cost $2.75, $3 for each person. That's a lot of money to add up. So, of course, you can just order water if you'd like, and yeah, I know, gas. But there are sometimes you don't realize that you'll see they'll have sodas offered and they'll have bottled water offered. But you can also usually ask for fountain water, and a lot of people don't realize that the fountain
I
drinks
didn't
actually
know
have
that.
a little tab that says water on it. Sometimes it's attached to the lemonade and it mixes it, and if you say I'd like a fountain water, they'll give you a courtesy cup, and you can go and just press that little
Yep.
tab on the lemonade or whatever, and you can take a fountain water, and that adds up, if you don't
Oh,
mind
yeah.
that kind of thing. If you go into a restaurant and they have free refills, a lot of times my husband will go in, we'll get 1 large drink with a refill, and it's no more than if 1 person drank it, if 2 people drink
Yeah.
the 1 drink with a refill,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we'll do that. If you go to a movie theater, now I just recently found this out because they certainly don't advertise it, but many times they will have courtesy cups at a movie theater, and when you know how expensive movie theaters are with popcorn and sodas, it's
Terrible.
crazy.
Yeah.
So if you say, could I have a fountain cup of a courtesy cup of fountain water, they'll many times will give you one, and there's nothing that says you can't have a little envelope of powdered lemon drink mix or something like that to put in it when you go into the theater. If you want to splurge and get the popcorn, heaven, you'd never smuggle any in, would you?
None of us have ever done that.
No.
Well, and when we get a drink at the theater, sometimes we'll get like a drink and they have free refills, but we'll just get one and split it between the family.
Yeah.
Because we don't need 107
Right.
ounces.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't need this much for each person. So
And in the home, there was a time when we drank soda all the time. We would think we were saving money because we'd get the 2 liters of the store brand of soda. But now we drink iced tea, and I buy the oversized tea bags, and 4 of those will make a gallon of iced tea. And
Yeah.
it's so cheap, and you can put a little sugar in or a lot of sugar in, whatever you like, add lemon or not. Keep that in the fridge and you can save a ton of money. So those are my drink tips that we learned to do with our 7 kids because we had to be frugal.
Yeah.
7 kids
Yeah.
would really go through the soda quickly.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it would. Okay,
Wow.
go ahead, Mom.
Me? Oh, I'm
It
next.
was Art 1962 says, look, it's BanDana Gramma. Oh, so patriotic.
Well, a lot of times I don't hear, when I'm researching this stuff, I don't hear people talking about your attitude when you're trying to save money and be frugal. You know, I did this with housekeeping or cleaning. People will study how to clean a house, but you know what? If they don't want to do it, they're not going to get up and do it. So you've got to get your attitude in line and make up your mind, I'm going to start saving money, get out of debt, be frugal. If your mind and heart is not in it, all the tips in the world, we could give you thousands of them, and they're not going to do anything for you. You know, it's not. And so you make up your mind, you're going to do it, and don't say, well, I wish I could save money like you do, or I wish I had to work hard at it. I mean, I had to work really hard and sacrifice a lot, you know, to save money. And you have to do it. You can't just sit there and say, well, it would be kind of nice. I'd like to try it, you know. No, you can do it. You can't just sit and daydream about it. You have to just make up your mind. This is something I'm going to do. And it's like anything else. You go to a job each day. You work hard to get a paycheck. So you make up your mind, I'm going to save money. I'm going to work hard at it. And your paycheck is going to be getting out of debt, you know.
That's so true. And I found for me that if I had the mind, it was almost a game to me. It was like I was going to beat this system. You know, I was going to do this, and I was going to.
It's a challenge. It's like a
I only
challenge.
have this much money. Instead of poor me, how I can't do this. It's like I'm going to do this, and
How
I'm
am I going to get $20 worth of groceries
yes.
for the week?
Yeah.
And then it was a victory, and it felt so good.
I was going to say, you get self-confidence and self-esteem built up each time you do one little thing. We have people a lot of times, and you don't have to do it all at once. Take your time. We have some viewers on here that will say, I cleaned this today, or I saved, and you can tell the excitement in their comment, and they get so excited over it, and I get excited for them. It's like, what are they going to do next week? You know,
It's like
you
a
can tell.
snowball. It
Yes,
starts
it
small
gets
and it
more
gets
and
bigger
more,
and
and then
bigger.
it gets to the point where you want to do it all the time. And I've said before, people
And it becomes second nature.
it does. You don't even think
It's
about
hard when you're not used to it at first, but then once you've practiced at it, then
I went to, Susie was needing a piece of paper before we started, and I went in the office, and I am so used to grabbing up a scratch paper that I paused because I had to get a piece of fresh paper out of the computer for you. But it's so
I would've
ingrained.
taken a scratch
Oh, I
paper.
couldn't find any. Otherwise, you would have had one. But it's so ingrained without even thinking. I was going for the scratch paper, but I couldn't find it. You know, so that type of thing. And then one last thing is, don't always say, "Well, I work hard all week. I deserve this for anything. I deserve to go out to eat. I deserve this outfit. I deserve to go get me a coffee every day because I work really hard." You know, every single person out there deserves everything. You really do. But that does not mean you can afford it.
And
You
I know
know?
what you're talking about is when you need to save money, not when you've
No.
Once
you've gotten out of debt,
yes, when
you
you've
can
gotten out
go
of
buy
debt, yeah.
whatever you want that you
Yeah.
think.
yeah, all these, if you're out of debt, you can buy whatever
can
you
buy
want.
whatever
Who
you
cares?
want. It's not- yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
for people that want to get
Yeah.
out of debt. But everybody says, "Well, I just worked so hard. I deserve this week," you know. And you've got to get over that. Every person deserves it. And but you maybe can't afford it. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yes, Dave had a question.
Lindsay wants to know, how much do you recommend that a family of 3 should spend on food? 2 adults, 1 toddler, and they live near an Aldi.
Oh, if
Aldi.
you live near an Aldi,
$50 a
2 adults and a 3-year-old, you could probably easily do it for $125, $150 a month. if
yeah,
you're
with a
at Aldi.
toddler, you
Yeah.
almost don't count them as a full person because they can eat a little bit off of mom and dad's plate, and that's all, you know.
I would say easily you could do it for $150 or less. You could probably even go down to $100, but all these prices have been going up. But even at that, I would think $150 would be easy. Okay, my tip is buy used when you can. Like, 99% of the time. So I will say that Mike and I have purchased new beds and one new couch in the entire time we've been married, and I think that's all the new furniture we've ever purchased. So what I do is I look at garage sales, I look at thrift stores, those kinds of things. I always try to find it used before I find it new. And I know everyone's scared about bed bugs and all that. Guys, okay, this is a problem. But if before you buy the furniture, you take off the, like let's say you're buying a couch, you take off the cushion, look and see. Usually there is evidence. And there are ways to fight that. Let's say you got a piece of furniture and you're pretty sure, but you're still nervous. Put a tarp over it, set a bug bomb off, and then you can make sure. I mean, there are times when Mike and I made $6 an hour, and I'm not kidding. The couch we got was extremely questionable. I really did not want to put my buns on that couch. It was gross. But we sprayed it. I cleaned it several times, vinegared it to get the smell out, and we had a perfectly usable couch that we used for 3 years, but because somebody didn't take care of it, you know, they couldn't get rid of it. And we were desperate for a couch. We had just moved to Idaho. We literally had like $50 left. The job he thought was going to work didn't work out. We didn't know where the next money was going to come from. And I was getting tired of sitting on the floor, so I did what I could to clean it up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that bad. I'm just using that as a worst case example. But you know, I get all the kids' clothes used at garage sales. We maybe spend $25 a year on all of them.
Well, another
And
thing, if
so-
you're people are a lot worried about the environment, you know, and recycling and stuff now, because we buy stuff like that, we have very little packaging. People don't realize there's almost no packaging. And so I don't have hardly any trash because it never dawned on me for years that
Yeah.
why I don't have as much trash, because I buy most of my stuff used without
Yep.
packaging and stuff.
So that's my tip. Buy used when you can. Okay, yes, Mike.
Oops, where was it? First of all, Donna says the 3 wise women.
Oh, thanks,
That's
Donna.
sweet, Donna.
Linda's asking, what do you think about Facebook Marketplace as you're talking about the couch?
Oh yeah, so Facebook Marketplace, FreeCycle, Craigslist, all those places. I have bought tons of stuff off of those things. Neighborhood apps.
Community
Yeah.
Yes,
websites.
those are really
Those
good.
are really good.
Those are
because
Next
they're
door.
local, next
Yeah.
door. But even ones that aren't like it's a nationwide chain type thing next door. Even the ones that just somebody in your neighborhood started.
Yeah.
And they start growing. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
And then you feel a lot more secure because you know your neighbors.
So
Yes.
how do you find these?
On the internet,
Yeah. You just search your city, your town, your neighborhood. Type in, you know, Western Meadows meet Colorado. You could type in, you know, whatever.
A lot of them are called I live in blank.
Yeah.
And that's what mine is. It's
Okay.
I live in and then the community.
Yeah.
And then you can go there.
Yeah, and guys, look on curbs and stuff. Like somebody's
Oh,
moving out and they
yeah.
put a whole bunch of stuff on the curb. One time I did a video on it. I got a bunch of cleaning supplies. Well, after we did dumpster dive, and they had a huge dumpster, and we got a whole bunch of stuff out of their dumpster. But then, after they had left, they left on the street in their trash their whole cleaning kit. And I got full bottles of cleaners, brand new razors that they just didn't want to take with them. So
They never even
yeah.
opened the packages
And a piece
up.
of furniture, if it's got simple upholstery on it, like a couple of cushions or something, and they're torn or ripped, it's so simple to
Yeah.
paint the wood and put new fabric
Yep.
over
Yeah.
that cushion
Do that
and make
all
it
the
look
time.
brand new.
Yeah.
And you could even make money by selling it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which goes into your next tip on the fabric.
Yes. When I need fabric, before I go running off to Joann's or one of those other stores that sell fabric, I can go to a thrift store and I can check out. First of all, sometimes they'll have bolts of fabric at thrift stores.
They do. I
Yeah.
got some.
Yeah, I've got some there too.
Yeah.
Where the whole bolt, and it was like $4 for a whole bolt of fabric. And if you find something you're looking for, great. Or you can look at their sheets. You can look at
Shower curtains.
shower curtains. You can look at tablecloths. and just, use your imagination. Think, what can I use this for? Will this suffice for what I need? Now, I recently needed some good blue jeans material, and I wanted to make a jean skirt. And I went to, even an outlet, the fabric was pretty expensive. So I went to the thrift store, and they had these Ultra Plus denim jeans. I mean, very large size, like two of me, very large. And they were brand new, and there were two pairs of them. They were a deep indigo, like a solid, bright indigo color, so that they weren't faded or thin or anything like that. And I could take those jeans, I could cut them up the sides, and then I could make my pattern out of the fabric that was in those jeans. And the jeans were like $4 each, and I got enough to make several skirts. So it really was worth it. So look for oversized clothes that you could take apart and use the fabric to make other clothes, especially if you're making children's clothes, because there's a lot of fabric in an adult plus size outfit that you can make children's clothes with.
And if you want to learn to sew or something like that, that's a great place to start off with some cheap material.
And my mom, of course, they don't have them so much now, but they were doing the trans over from the 50s into the 60s, where we went from really, really full skirts, I'm dating
That's
myself,
right.
but
That's right.
really full skirts to the really shift-like dresses. And my aunts would give us hand-me-downs that was so dated, with these really full skirts. So my mom would, I'm not as good seamstress as she was, but she would take the bottoms of the skirts and make me shift dresses out of it all the time.
Plenty of fabric for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my turn?
Your turn.
Oh, my turn. Rethink rethink if you don't have something or something, you need something, rethink, do I have something in the house I can use to make do with? For example,
How can I make do without buying something?
that's what, very good. And so, for example, if you're getting ready to bundle something together and you need to tie it together and you have no string, we were talking about fabric, no string. Well, I use the salvage edges of my fabric. You sewers will know what I'm talking about. The salvage edges, I never hardly throw those away, because then I tie them up and use them for string for all kinds of things, to bundle, to tie up your stuff in the garden, different things like that. If you're not a sewer even, I would take like my flannel pajamas that I just wore to death. I'd cut the legs up to use them for rags, for dusting and stuff. But the waistband would be elastic. And so I'd save that elastic, and it could use like a big gigantic rubber band to tie up, a lot of different things. It's really good. And so if you don't have the string, don't run down to Walmart or the Dollar Tree to get it. Look around. Can I use something first before I go right off, to do that? Even like if you need an end table, and you've maybe seen this on, different places, but you can take, if you have two boxes of the same size that you're storing memories in or something, set them together, throw a sheet or a tablecloth over it, and stick your lamp on. If we even used,
If you're book publishers.
yeah, if you publish books,
You have a
Tara
lot of
had
books.
we had all these boxes of books, and Ellie didn't have a bed. So we stacked up the books, so high, and then we laid a mattress on there and put her comforter over there, and she had a bed. It stored the books and got them out of the way, and then she had a bed. So before you just think, I have to have this piece of furniture, if you need a tablecloth, well, I don't have a white tablecloth. Maybe you could use a sheet. Maybe you've got a colored sheet that would work.
Or an old curtain.
Or an old curtain, or like Susie was talking about, she used shower curtains or something for on a picnic table. Look around. What can I use in place of that for something else? If you have an old shower curtain, you can cut it apart. Tara got one that was 100% cotton. We cut it apart. I sewed up the hem on them, and now she has dish towels. So just think, those types of things. So.
Yeah. Any questions or comments before we go to the next one?
Actually, quite a few things. Jody says, I've been frugal for so long that I find it almost painful to spend money on things I don't need.
Exactly.
Addicted
Yeah.
to frugal, I know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Judy says, I got a brand new Instant Pot with a cookbook from the Facebook Marketplace, never taken out of the box, and a great price.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I just got an Instant Pot at a garage sale for $30, and it had everything with it. So that way, when I decide I didn't like it, it didn't matter because I was only out $30 and I can turn around and resell it for probably 40 or 50.
Yeah.
But I'll probably keep it. But
Mira's like you, Jean. She says if there's bulk garbage day in the spring, people could put all kinds of still okay things you might be able to use.
yeah,
Right.
bulk garbage day. We have a dumpster diving video too where we talked about dumpster diving. We love dumpster diving.
On
yeah.
our day like that, my neighbor put out a wire, the big wire fences. I mean, it had like 3 sections of this big wire fence, and I said, "Can I have it?" And they said, "Sure," you know. So
Yeah.
Luann said, this might be something close to what you already said, Susie, but this place we have to eat breakfast at serves large portions, so I will take pancakes from his order and order 2 eggs for myself. And get billed by
Oh, yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they give you outrageous portion sizes a lot of places.
oh yeah, we
Yeah, split
we
meals at
split
restaurant all the time, yeah.
Mhm.
2 family homesteads, as my dad always said, if you can't pay cash, you don't need it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's pretty much our motto is we pay cash for everything.
That's how I did
Um,
it. I didn't have the money, so how
yeah.
could I buy it if you don't have? I didn't have the
But
money. I
even
had
when
no
you
credit
do
cards.
have the money, pay cash for it. Don't put it on your
Yeah.
credit card.
Yeah, I think Denise said she was doing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
You can
You
save
see,
so
you
much.
see the money when you pay with cash. You're seeing the money. When you pay with
Yeah.
a credit card, sometimes you don't even realize how much you've spent
Yeah.
at the grocery store.
By
Oh.
the way, Suzanne says, first time I get to see you live.
Well, Suzanne,
Hi.
okay, mine is kind of goes along with the you stuff, but accept hand-me-downs and giveaways and ask for hand-me-downs and giveaways. And what I mean by that is all of my neighbors and friends know to ask me before they get rid of something because they know
too.
9 times out of 10 I'll say sure, I'll take that
Yeah.
because usually I can use it. Then if I'm questionable on it, like let's say it's clothes for Jack or whichever kid at the time, if it's questionable, I'll take the clothes, and if they don't fit, then I'll just give them away to the next person or to the Goodwill. But the thing is if you tell people no, then they don't keep giving it to you. Now, having said that, I'm not like the Goodwill for all my neighbors and everything. I mean, if it's truly something that I don't want, like a big screen TV or whatever, I won't accept it. But but most of the time, you know, I will take things and then I'll go through and decide what I want to keep and what I don't, and then give it away. So ask for hand-me-downs. If people have kids that are a year older than yours, say, you know what, if you're just getting rid of those clothes, would you give them to me instead of the Goodwill, because I'd like to use them for my son or whatever.
Be sure to thank them too.
Yeah.
Be
Tell 'em,
grateful.
Yeah,
Be
thank
grateful.
thank
Yeah.
them, yeah. So that's what I do a lot. And so now all my neighbors, they know to call me before they get rid of something.
I had
So-
a neighbor who every Easter would buy one of those fancy hams, a honey ham or
Yeah.
honey baked, or I don't know what they were, but they cost a lot of
Yeah.
money. And they would cut with a knife all the ham off it. And I was over there visiting. We were pretty good friends, and she was gonna pitch this
The ham
bone.
ham bone,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was loaded with ham.
Mhm.
And all they had done was cut the ham off. And I said, "Aren't you going to make soup with that or something?" She says, "Oh no." You know, she says, "Would you like it?" And I kind of felt funny. I said, "I'm taking a ham bone from the neighbor." Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And I took
How many
it
meals
home.
did you get out of that?
I canned it. I got soup, and then I made ham and beans, and I made ham and bean soup, and I
How
there
many
was
did you get? Do you know?
I don't know, but it was a lot because I mean, jar after jar after jar.
So that free ham bone probably got you 20 or 30
Yeah.
meals out of a
mhm.
free ham bone.
Yeah. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
People think I'm crazy, and my neighbors, they do think I'm nuts.
I had 7 kids, and
Yeah.
she was gonna throw it away, and it wasn't like they were gnawing off it, She,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just cut it off.
and she was a very good friend. I knew her well, so I thought, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So, yes, dear.
Well, Chloe Girl and Jeanette both asked, how do you draw the line not be a hoarder if you save everything to be frugal? Or what about clutter with saving all the stuff?
How do you not be a hoarder when being frugal when saving all the stuff is the question. Well, for me, what I do is I keep a running box of the Goodwill that goes to the thrift store, whatever you want to call it. I keep a box in my garage, and every time I'm done with something, it goes in there. and I'm always finished. Now, I don't particularly save things like sour cream containers and yogurt containers, because I found for me, when I did that, I didn't know what food was in there. So I purchased the cheap clear containers, got all the same kind. I have one little drawer. That's all I use for my leftovers. Now my sister-in-law loves the yogurt containers and the sour cream containers, and she just does the same thing, but just with those containers. My kind of rule of thumb for those kinds of things is I get so many, and then, like, let's say I have 5 baskets. Okay, I only keep 5 baskets on hand. Once I get to 6, something needs to go away.
Yeah, I have a shelf.
So-
If I have a shelf for something, if it's full, I don't put
Don't
anything
save
more
it
in
then.
there until I get rid of something off that shelf. I have a certain spot where I keep things, and if that spot gets too filled, then you have to get rid of something.
Did you have any way that you did it?
Well, I need to get rid of more than I do, but I think we send boxes to the thrift shop all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have an area and I'll clean it and I'll say, all right, this hasn't been used in so long. I was going to do this. There's a few things I have pet projects,
Yeah.
that I want to do, and I'll hang on to those because I know I'll get to them.
Yeah.
And there are projects like that have gone on for 2 or 3 years, and then I did them. I did get to it because I just knew they were a pet project and I would get to them. But yeah, I give a lot away.
And really kind of think through, do I really need 25 towels when there's only 2 of us in the family, and I never have company? Do I really need this many? And count down. Okay, how many towels do I do the laundry 3 times a week? So that means we maybe only need 2 or 3 towels for each one of us, or something like that. Put pen to paper. Donna, this is for you. Put pen to paper and figure out how much you need of stuff. Clothing or anything like this, dish towels. And how do I need 45 dish towels? If I wash dish towels once a week, I probably need 7 or 10 or 12, but no more, not 45,
Yeah, yeah. And it helps for me. I keep the Goodwill box always going so that it's easy for me to dispose of it when I find something that I need to get rid of. So I just always keep a box in my garage, right here, easy. Throw it in there as soon as I'm ready. When it's full, then I take it.
Yeah.
Anything else, dear, before I go to the next one?
A few things. Cleaning Fairy 1970 said, I'm a custodian at a college. You'd be surprised what college students will leave in their
Oh,
dorms.
I can just
Oh,
imagine,
man.
yeah.
Saying I donate some to charities, felt friends, and have a garage sale. We used to.
Oh,
Yeah, Michael, when he worked in
we
Nebraska.
lived in 2 college. Well, no, we lived in one college town, and Mike worked in a college town. And oh my goodness, the parents buy the kids all this stuff, and the kids sell it for 50 cents or $1. And we had move out day was our favorite garage sale day of the year because it was crazy. So
Well, and I had a friend who used to go to the dumpsters when the students would leave, and she called it the blue store.
the blue store, yeah, the dumpster's a blue store. Okay.
Oh,
Hold on.
sorry. Joan said my 3-year-old granddaughter says, "Thank you. Is it new?" And Julie says, "Love these common sense tips. Love you guys."
Thank you, Julie.
The rest we can wait for.
Okay. All right, your next one.
Okay, I like to garden.
Yep, me too.
I like to grow a lot of veggies, and it makes sense to save your seeds when you grow your own veggies, and it also makes sense to save seeds from your grocery store veggies. You can decide for yourself if you're worried about GMO or whatever, but I'd say I save a lot of my grocery store seeds. Peppers,
How do you do
tomatoes. I put them on, usually first I wash them, and then I put them on a coffee filter or something and let them dry out. And then I roll them up and label them and put them in an envelope and
that? Use them the next year?
use them the next year. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that I do is I grow a lot of flowers. So when I get the seed heads on the flowers, if I have a spot that's empty, I don't save the seeds particularly. What I do is I will cut the flowers off and either crush them up over that area where I want new flowers to grow, or I'll just lay the whole thing down like mulch, and then the seeds come up the next year, and I get a lot of free flowers that way.
I've got a lot of pumpkins and melons that come up because I've
Me
thrown
too.
a lot of things out like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this last October, I have a vegan daughter, and when we were making Thanksgiving meal for everyone else, I decided to get these really pretty confetti melons, or not melons, squash. And I was carving them out and stuffing them with all kinds of Thanksgiving flavors, put into rice and beans and things like that, and making her a Thanksgiving stuffed. Well, I had a bunch left over. And I thought, well, these were so pretty. They were from the store, that I'm going to save these seeds and try and grow my own next year. So I put them out in the back porch, and they froze up over the winter. And come spring, when they thawed, it wasn't pleasant. So I took them out and I put them behind my shed, saying, okay, tomorrow, next week, I'm going to get to these seeds, and so I can throw the rest out. Well, meanwhile, they sprouted. They sprouted in this cardboard box I put them in. I had these squash seeds going everywhere. So just before we came down here, I planted them in my garden. So
I want some of those.
I went and I have a little tiny compost pile, and I had some tomatoes that went bad on me, and the pumpkin. When I brought all those pumpkins back, I had a bunch of pumpkin seeds left, and I just threw all that in the compost pile. The next year, they were just growing like crazy, and I hadn't even planted anything. So,
Yeah, volunteers.
yeah.
Your
I
turn.
don't know if you're that.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Well, Catherine Sanderson says, so you all hi.
Hello,
hi.
Catherine.
And Cindy says, you ladies work so well together. But Christine had a specific question. When you find meat on sale, do you separate it into smaller sizes or defrost the big meat?
Christine wants to know, when you find meat on sale, do you separate it into smaller pieces or defrost the big meat? Well,
I do package it into smaller sections because I'm by myself, of
Yeah.
course. It probably depends on the size of your
depends
family.
on the size of your family. Now, what I do is I do the big meat right now, because what I do is I cook the whole thing at once. So I cook once, and then we'll eat it for 2 or 3 dinners in different forms.
because you've got a larger family. But
And I can.
She can't.
I
yeah.
can. So I usually get like a turkey, for instance, or a large piece of meat, a large piece of beef if it's on sale. I can cook that and put it into jars, and I love having a jar that's already got cooked meat in it that I can just take off the shelf and make all kinds of meals with.
What
Yeah.
kind of meals do you make with it?
Anything that you have a recipe for that calls for chicken or beef or ham, instead
Yeah.
of having to cook it all ahead of time, you can make it ham and rice, ham and beans, chicken and rice, chicken gala king, chicken cacciatore, any of those things, even sandwiches and salads.
So you're pretty much just heating up the chicken, not cooking it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's
Okay.
quick. It's quick.
And I buy the big things of hamburger, and I'll divide it up, make meatballs, and then some of it I'll fry up for making the patties or fried up and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's what we do. Another tip for
Did
me.
you want me to go ahead and do
Oh,
mine?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't care.
No,
It doesn't
you were
matter.
talking, so I
Well-
thought it was your turn. Sorry. Your turn.
Well, mine goes along with Susie and with her ham bone. It's kind of a little bit connected, and that is and with attitude. You can't be prideful. You got to lose your pride in some of this stuff, and it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt you to, because you can't worry about what other people think. You can't think, well, I would never wear something that somebody else wore. Those are all kind of things of pride. And even like with Susie saying, when the gal asked her, would you like it? And Susie said it feels funny when you first start doing it, doesn't it? When you start doing stuff like that, it feels a little awkward, or I don't know how to describe
and I
it.
probably wouldn't take it from just anybody.
No, of course not. No,
because it was my
I know.
good friend.
Yeah.
And she was going to toss it.
Yeah,
yes.
no, not just anybody, but and you have to be discerning in that type of thing. But you can't allow your pride to not, if I saw my neighbor throwing my neighbor and I share trash, and we tease each other all the time because she'll put something in there that's really good, and then just before I came, she said, I saw you had some fabric stuff in there. It was an old dress, whatever, that I couldn't use. She said, I was peeking in the trash, Now, some people say, I wouldn't dream of doing that type of thing, and you can't worry about that. You can't worry about peer pressure, like with your kids in school. Well, we get so many parents say, well, what do your kids do with peer pressure? My kids never thought about peer pressure because they didn't hear about it from me. It didn't even register me in my mind that there would be peer pressure or anything. And so you've got to get over those things. If your kids can't be in soccer and music and everything else, you say, or they can't have these designer clothes and things, you teach them to have self-confidence in other ways, and that won't even bother them whatsoever. If they have good self-confidence and self-esteem in other ways, they won't even give it a. You never did you? Ever think because you didn't get to do all that stuff or feel like you were really poor or anything?
I gotta do a GoFundMe for my counseling. No.
You know, and so part of saving money, you have to have the right attitude when you're trying to get out of debt and be frugal.
You have a goal.
Yeah,
You have
it
a
doesn't
goal.
matter. I'm not going to worry about what other people think. I don't care how tired I get. I don't care what I have to give up. I'm going to do this.
And let me say along that, the stress of dealing with financial problems because your pride is too high to where you won't drive a used car, to where you won't buy used clothes, to where you won't get something out of the dumpster that's perfectly usable or whatever.
Or go to a thrift store.
The
and stuff.
stress of the stress of dealing with your financial problems is way 1,000 times worse than doing any of these things. Don't you think?
Yeah. Your kids are going to be more traumatized by that than the peer pressure is what she's saying. Basically.
And you'll end up with spoiled brats for kids. Yeah, I mean, you'll get kids that expect this expectant mentality that
Entitlement.
Entitlement. That's what I was trying to say. Entitlement mentality, which we have now, because parents have not done this. So
we're laughing because Michael's back there and when you guys are commenting, he's putting up, Turin says hi to the three of you. And so we're laughing. So we're getting your messages through big, bold letters from Michael. That's why we're chuckling.
Did you have anything else, dear, before I go?
Let me see. Did somebody talk about canning? Because there's a bunch of canning stuff people are asking. So Judy is asking, how do you get cheap canning equipment? All I ever find is jars.
How do you find cheap canning equipment? All I ever find is jar.
My first pressure canner I got from the Goodwill for $25.
That's where I see garage sales and Goodwill.
You have to be careful to make sure the seal is good. And I thought for sure I was going to have to mail. It came with a booklet, so it had even the addresses and it had all the information about what size seal it took and things like that. And I thought I was going to have to order a new seal for it because it was it was a pretty old canner. And I checked it all over and it looked like it was fine. No cracks or big chips in the edges or anything that would interfere with the seal, the way it worked. So I looked at the seal and I thought, golly, this looks good. How can it look so good when this is obviously a used canner? And then I looked into the book and I'm flipping through to find what kind of seal it used, and they had it circled, and I knew they had bought the seal. They had already bought the seal for it. So I got it for $25. I used that one for years, like 4 or 5 years before I got my new Presto 23-quart one.
So where do you get lids and stuff?
You don't have to get the ball, and I mean, I like those, but I have found Walmart has the off-brand there, and I have not had failure with those. So, and they're a lot cheaper than the other. Now, this is going to horrify some people because I was horrified when I heard it the first time. But I was watching another channel, a big channel. She does a lot of canning, and in one of her videos, she said she reuses her lids, and I'm going, don't tell your people that. That's the most dangerous thing. You always read, never reuse the lids. Well, one day I was making a big batch of something and I ran out of lids. So I went back and I found some of my other lids. They look perfectly fine. And I said, well, this is an experiment. I'll put them on and we'll see what happens. Well, they adhere just fine.
Yeah.
They stuck tight. And I'm thinking, so what is the harm? If they stick tight, what is the harm? Is it because they'll let loose faster than one that, was a brand new one and it might come loose in your storage? Well, if that happens, you'll lose the contents in the jar, but if it was loose when you open it and you don't hear that pop, then you would need it, So, but I don't do it often, but I have done it when I got stuck. And they stuck just as tight as my new ones.
Years ago, we used to always, Grandma she used her lids over and over until they just actually
Well, they
started
say
looking.
that the new ones are supposed to be like that they're getting cheap and they're putting
So
thinner,
they're not as
thinner
don't last
whatever
as long,
on them.
could be. You just
I
don't
was
know.
totally against doing that, but
Yeah.
after I did this, and they're still
I
stuck
would
on
say
tight.
why not use it at least a couple of times?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't think. And for the thing is, what happens with the canning stuff is, a lot of people will clean out grandma's house, and they don't want it. So you can find canning
Estate
stuff
sales.
at estate sales,
Now
garage sales,
I've
and
also
stuff.
gotten the Tatler lids, and the Tatler lids are a throwback to the old-fashioned two-piece lids that have the red
Oh,
rubber ring
yeah.
inside.
Mhm.
They're a plastic lid with a rim around the bottom.
Do those work? I've never used those, so I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
they cost a little more actually than the regular kind, but you don't throw them away. You can use them
Okay,
forever,
yeah.
for a long, long time. And so they end up being much cheaper.
I've never used them.
There's a little learning curve because the Tatler lids are you can a little differently.
Mhm.
Like you screw them on looser, and I've got tips on my videos about how to use them. And then when you take them out of the canner, with regular lids, you'd never crank down the lid when you bring it out of the canner. But with the Tatlers, you're supposed to.
Oh,
Well, as soon as they come out, you crank them down and make them tight. So there's a little learning curve to use with them, but you can use them again and again and again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else, dear?
Well, there's a quick one and then some others. The quick one is Christine's asking how long will seeds last?
Years. Yeah, I have
And
some. I have some in the freezer that last that I've had at least 10 years, and they're still sprouting.
And I vacuum sealed
So-
the seeds too.
Yeah, Mom
just get-
vacuum seals some. I just have some just in the freezer.
So you got.
But store them
double.
in the freezer, a cool, dry place, and that usually is the best place for them.
And Christy said, I used to cry when my kids were teenagers because I couldn't afford all the snack foods as a single mom. I found out later my daughter thought I was a great mom for giving them real food. And there were a few things. S. Fletcher Briggs said cheap canning stuff is available in the Facebook sale groups in my
Yes.
area.
Mhm.
Got a bunch
Facebook,
of stuff.
Craigslist is a good place
Oh,
to
yeah.
find. Marketplace.
Where people try it and then they decide they don't want to do it anymore, so they want to get rid of it. And
Yeah.
Two Family Homestead said they got a canner on Craigslist, $40 for a $200.
Wow,
on
$40 for
Wow.
$200 one. Wow. Okay, my next tip is stop with all the huge parties. So we live in Colorado, so we notice this a little bit more than when we lived in Kansas. But David's like, "Ugh." But I'll say I went to physical therapy for an arm problem I had one time, and my physical therapist was telling me how her son graduated high school, and they spent over $2,500 on his high school graduation party. And I about jumped off the table and said, "Are you out of your mind?" Because I just couldn't believe it. Well, come to find out, that is actually common practice
Oh, yeah.
for birthday parties, graduations, anniversaries, all these things. God,
Weddings.
oh, don't even get... I have a viewer who's emailed me 3 or 4 times telling us to do a video on weddings. Guys, if it is costing you $250 a plate for a wedding, you have a problem.
yeah.
Seriously, you have a major problem. My chiropractor was really upset because she had a friend that kept emailing her. Now, are you sure you're going to come to my wedding? Because I'm spending $250 a person. I want to know you're going to be there.
Well, that's
And then, but I didn't know this, then the bride and groom tell how much they spend for each person because you're expected to take a gift equal to that amount. I was horrified.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I got news for you, chickie. You know, seriously, if you're spending more than $5,000 on a wedding, I really think you're overspending. You don't need to
No,
spend
if you
thousands and
don't have
thousands.
the money to spend
Yeah.
on a big wedding, you just can't do it. It
No.
goes
If you have the
back to
money, it's fine.
yeah,
But
it goes back to I deserve it. So
Yeah.
or peer
And
pressure
going into
every-
debt for a wedding
and going
is
into
a
debt
terrible way
for
to start
yeah.
off a marriage.
If you
yeah.
can't afford it, you may deserve it, but if you can't afford it, you cannot do
Yeah.
it. You figure out exactly what you can do without going into hawk for it for the rest of your life, and
Well,
then you
remember
do
what
that
I
much.
told you the other night about our wedding, you know, that my husband
Yep.
We were gone together for 3 years, and he got his orders to go to Vietnam, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
let's get married before I go. And we had no money for a big wedding.
Mm-hmm.
My aunts catered it with my mom. We had it at the local church. I bought my dress at Montgomery Ward's for $50.
Yeah.
We had neighborhood flowers on the tables and stuff, and it was a lovely wedding.
It was, and
Yeah.
well, we used to do them like that. That's the way our weddings were.
And it lasted 50 years.
Yeah.
And some of these $20,000 or $100,000 weddings
Yeah.
are over in months.
Well, I was
So
driving
you
up
gotta
to
be careful.
over to Tars today, and I was looking. My mom and it's funny you mentioned that because my mom was. When I got married, her and I went out, and I saw them all along the road. They're thistles. They're just like a thistle thing, and we went out right before my wedding, picked up all these thistle, tied them together with a white bow, and that was our pew markers. It didn't cost us anything, for that.
Yeah.
So.
And don't say it can't be done. I did it myself.
Oh yeah,
Not that well 20 years ago, but
I wore my mom's dress.
yeah, it
pretty
can
much,
still
and-
be done today.
Yeah.
It is not worth going into debt
No.
to start your marriage.
No.
Period. The stress from the debt is not worth it.
If
so-
nothing else, you get just a few close family members and take the pastor
Yep.
and get married quietly in the church. If you have to do that,
Yeah.
you may want the big thing. We all want the big thing, but
Yeah.
if you can't have it, that's
You
just
can't afford it,
a
yeah.
fact of life.
So
So,
Mike has some good.
As Fletcher Briggs says, my theory is the bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage.
The bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage. That's pretty good. Yeah,
people-
that's probably
people
true.
need to be more concerned about the marriage than they are
then
the
the
wedding.
wedding, exactly.
You should. Okay, so here's a good one. You should spend as much on premarital counseling as you spend on your wedding.
Probably more. Well, and Andrea
So-
said going into debt, starting a marriage is a bad idea. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
totally- 'cause
the
debt-
stress, and,
Yeah.
and you're getting two people who think of money differently usually, and then you've got that debt
Yeah.
in there. It's just, it's awful.
True Family has a question specifically for Susie.
Uh-oh.
Daryl wants to know if you took your kitchen fairies out to Colorado with you.
She did. Yeah, she's been helping me keep it clean. So, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, your next one.
I'm next. Okay, this is a general comment about debt. And what we have found that debt is a big no-no and a big enemy, and your future is threatened by debt. So if you come into some money, and it happens to all of us from time to time, it might be an extra $100, it might be an
Tax
extra
refund,
$5,000. You come into money. Sometimes when you've been struggling so long, you want to go out and blow the whole bit on something frivolous, or upgrade something that you really can make do with what you have. And the important thing is to pay down your debt. We had some money come in, and we were tempted to go on vacation because with the 7 kids, we wanted to do something fun with them. We've never been to Disney World or something like that. But we know the future of the family was more would be better if we had paid down our debt instead. Because once that debt is gone, all that money that was going toward that debt is free.
Yeah, I know
it's freed
people don't
up.
realize
Yeah,
that.
It's freed
you
up.
Could, you could have 4,000 extra a month cash
Yeah.
to do whatever you want with it.
So you bide your time and you say, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this extra $100 and pay down my credit card, or I'm going to take this extra $5,000. And here's the tip. We had come into, later in our marriage, we had come into, I think it was $10,000 that we were sent by my father. And he wanted us to invest it in something for our future. Now, I know everybody doesn't have a dad that gave him $10,000, and it was very unusual for us. And he told us to, invest it. And I was trying to think, where can we invest it? And I was looking at the CDs and things, and they were only paying like 1%. And I looked at our mortgage, and at that time our mortgage was 5%. And I got thinking about it, and I said, paying off that much of the principal on our mortgage is the same as earning that 5%.
Yes, exactly.
So that
People don't realize that.
$10,000 was pretty much earning 5% instead of 1%. So whether it's your own money or if it's money that you've come in, a windfall you've come into, you can do that. And with smaller amounts, think about your credit card in the same way.
Yep.
And one thing I think Dave Ramsey has got a lot of good tips, and I think he helps a lot of people. And we went to one of his classes, and it turned out I was doing just about everything he was telling us to do, except put money in envelopes. I had it up here. But one thing I disagreed with him. He talked about when you paid down your debt, if you were going to pay off your credit cards, to start with the one that had the least amount on it 1st and pay that off, and then you'll feel a victory and you'll go on to the next. Well, to me, I'm more practical thinking. I didn't want the thrills of paying off a credit card. I wanted to pay down my debt faster, and I wanted it to make sense. So if I had 3 or 4 credit cards, which at one time we had some, I would take the one that had the highest interest rate on it, and I'd start hammering at that, because you got to look at it as all the same debt, but that the one with the highest interest rate was costing you the most.
Always the highest.
So
highest
pay the
interest.
one down with
Yeah,
the,
you
even
need
if
to.
it's the biggest one, don't look to pay off the little one first, just
Get rid
because
of
you'll
that.
get it all, paid off faster. I say pay off the one that has the highest interest rate first,
Which
because
just
you'll
makes
save more
sense
money.
because then you got that extra interest you were paying that
right,
money
right, you're
to pay for
saving
the
money.
next ones.
If you're paying a lower, you're still paying high interest
Yeah.
on that one you're not touching yet. So no, pay off the highest one first.
And
even if it takes longer.
one friend of mine, she got a little bit her tax refund. She got a little bit more on her tax refund if she claimed her mortgage on the taxes.
Oh, don't claim your mortgage. Yeah, guys.
She thought, I said, pay off. She had the money to. I said, pay off your mortgage. She said, I don't want to pay off my mortgage because I want that tax refund. It didn't dawn on her.
No.
She was paying more in interest than
Yes.
that little tiny bit she was getting from the
Yes.
tax
So-
refund.
5 times as
Yeah.
much.
So here,
Exactly.
okay. So here are the numbers, guys. For every dollar that you pay in interest on your mortgage, you get 27 cents back on your taxes. Hello. It is not worth paying $1 to get 27 cents back. Pay that $1 and then you'll have $1 when it's all paid off. Hello, this is not rocket science, people. So yeah, that's, get those pay and don't say you can't pay off your house, and don't say you're
No.
always going to have a house payment.
7 kids, very
Yeah.
low income. We paid off our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't believe it. It drives me crazy when people say, well, I'm just going to always have a house payment. No, that's wrong. I know a lot of people who say that, and I see a lot of ways they could get their house paid off and not have that extra $3,000-$4,000 every single month.
Do you know the average person with an average income, I could go in and take most of them what they're spending their money on, and I could find enough money in their budget that they could double their house payment each month to get it paid off
Get it
quicker.
paid off. Yeah.
You
So
know,
get it paid off.
big
They
So-
spend that much on frivolous
And a
stuff.
lot of it, like you said, was the mindset. Don't feel like you have
Yeah.
to keep up with the Joneses, because
Yeah.
the Joneses are probably broke and living on credit cards.
Yeah.
you know,
they are.
They're
A
just
lot of
showing
this is
things
all
off.
this stuff we've been talking about,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
different things. So
Yes.
A lot of great stories about people doing weddings for low prices, but
Good.
Jody said we had a potluck for our wedding. I had people bring their favorite dishes with the recipe, so I could add the recipes to my family
that's a
recipe.
cute idea.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
cute.
really
yeah,
cute.
that's
Mhm.
cute.
Yeah.
Okay, you're next.
I am next. Well, mine's not near as exciting as what we were just talking
okay.
about, but
How
if
many
that's
more
okay.
left?
Dave's like,
Dave's how many more
do we
left?
Another 15, but like I haven't been paying attention.
We've got like 5 left.
Well, I guess I'll do this one. It's kind of like recycling. I never recycle. I have never recycled anything, and I don't have hardly any trash because I use everything over and over and over again. Like the scratch paper that I was talking about earlier. I don't throw paper away if it's got blank, and this is just inexpensive paper. Can you imagine what I do with other stuff? But I don't throw it away. If it's blank on one side, I fold it and I use it for note paper. And I even caught myself the other day, I was scribbling notes on this scratch paper, and instead of getting me a fresh piece of scratch paper, I tore the bottom off that scratch paper and used it over again. And I really do it. But I take things like a cereal box. I chuckle every time I hear gals say, I bought these containers to get organized with at the dollar store, and they'll have like $50 to $100 worth of containers. I'm thinking, who does this? Gets all these containers, spends money on that? Because I will cut a cereal box down to like whatever the thickness of my drawer is, and I will put it in there to store, anything, pencils, paper clips, things like. We were thinking about doing this, I was in David's bedroom, and he had a box that had Fun Dip written on it, and I was eyeballing that, and the depth of that Fun Dip, I thought, that would
Thank
be
you, Donna.
perfect.
That was because you did
Yeah,
read it all
yeah.
through.
And that I thought that would be perfect little square box to put in my junk drawer to fit a certain thing, or to hold scratch paper that I cut up into notepads or whatever. So everywhere I look, I think, what can I use the rest of that box for, or that container for?
And you can spray paint those.
Oh yeah, all boxes you
Yeah.
can. I have in my storage in my sewing room. I have boxes with the lids that come off, lift off of them. I've spray painted the lids, and I had some cute wallpaper that I love just left over, and I cut a square of it just to glue on the front of the box. So now when it's sitting on the shelf, you see the pretty wallpaper with the spray painted lid to put on there. But little things, like I had an air freshener thing somebody had given me or something that was the gel type of in there. And on the top was a grid, a plastic grid with holes in it, so the scent would come out of those holes. Well, when it was done, it was a pretty, pretty color. So I went, hi, Donna. It was such a pretty color that the container was, that I rinsed it out really good, and it was about this big. And I thought that'll make a perfect flower vase because of the square holes to put the flowers in, like a frog. I don't know if everybody knows what a flower frog is, but it keeps the flowers more upright. So I thought if I line 2 or 3 of those up along my windowsill with every time I look at something, I think, how can I reuse it? And you get more practice. You think, I can't do that. I'm not that type. But the more, you practice that more and more. Like the container, you said how many years on the last show I had this container that I put dehydrated stuff in. I'd had that thing for years. It had been a candy container.
It's 2018, and the expiration date on the container was 2001. So that means it's even probably 2 years older than that.
But I'd used it as candy container to pour rice in, store rice, dry rice in there, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Dave.
Amber said that she disconnected when you were saying something about mortgages. All she heard was for every $1 you pay in interest, and then she cut out.
So if the thing got cut off during the mortgage thing, what I said was for every dollar you pay in interest on your mortgage, you get 27 cents back on your taxes.
If you're claiming your mortgage interest.
claiming your mortgage interest. It is absolutely ridiculous to use that as an excuse. Oh, I don't want to pay down my mortgage because I'm getting this back on my taxes. Why would you do that? If you have $1 that you're paying in interest, don't get 27 cents back on your taxes. Pay the $1 off, and then you'll just have $1 back
All the time.
all the time, every single month. So don't pay using the tax deduction on your mortgage as an excuse to not pay down your mortgage is not a good reason to do that.
Well, another thing, it's like people will go, I've heard women say, well, this was on sale for $5. So since it's on sale and I'm getting it for a bargain, I need to get it. It's the same
Even
type
though you didn't need it in the
even
first
though
place.
you didn't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
So it's the same type of thing,
Yeah.
except bigger, a little
Yeah.
bit bigger.
Okay, my thing is stop the big vacations. So Dave's like, well, we just want to take a vacation. But
You don't care if it's little, huh, Dave?
Dave's like, I don't know what a vacation is. But guys, once again, we live in the suburbs of Colorado. We have neighbors who will take a $10,000 vacation to Disney World every single year. And they think they deserve it. You don't. Sorry, but you
Not
don't.
if you can't afford
If you
it.
don't have the cash to pay for it, you cannot afford it. Do something simple at home. Take day trips to somewhere. Take a day trip to the lake or
And pay
whatever.
down your mortgage.
Get your house paid. People, here's the thing, guys. Mom and Susie both have their mortgage paid off. We are getting closer. We're not there yet. But you do not understand the freedom of being
you can't even
completely
imagine.
debt free. Completely.
It feels so
freeing,
good
yeah.
that people say, why don't you move to Colorado? I would have to have a mortgage, and I'm not going to do it, even to be close to my grandkids that I love so much. I am not going to get another mortgage because it feels so
Yeah.
unbelievable, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
you just
not have that
it's
hanging
like
around.
something's not hanging over you.
Yep. Okay. Your last one.
My last one. Okay, this has to do with your water heater. I have noticed that when I've gone to family or friends' houses and I turn
Or
the water
Tara's.
on, I was going to say that. And I turn the water on, you could get scalded by that water. You know, and of course it's dangerous if you got little babies or young toddlers or even elderly people who aren't quite with it, you know, if they're losing their mental capabilities. So what I did when we moved into our house is I adjusted the temperature on my water heater. Because think about this. You get in the shower, you turn on the hot water for your shower. Oh, that's much too hot to get in, so what do? We turn on the cold water.
Cold water, yeah.
Why are you paying to heat that water?
Yeah.
You know, it makes no sense whatsoever. When do you ever need scalding hot water out of the tap? You don't. So there might be a knob where you turn on your water heater to turn down the temperature. There might be a set screw that you look it up on YouTube, whatever. But figure out, get the plumber, it'd be worth the payment to the plumber. I think you can save upwards of $50 a month, depending on how hot you got your water and how much you use, turning that hot water down. I've got mine so when I get in the shower, I turn on just the hot water and I can bathe with nice warm, you know, as warm as I want it water, and I'm not adding any cold to it because that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to turn mine down. That's a good
Well, I keep mine has vacation mode, and that's what I keep mine on, is because it's just, like you said, fairly warm. And I love, too, I was thinking that the other day when I was taking my shower, so many people, when they get too hot, they automatically turn, you know, do the opposite way that you should, and you need to just...
Or they'll turn the hot water on. Like for mine, it kind of self-adjusts in there, but they'll turn the hot water all the way on, and then turn the cold water on. Well, turn the hot water down if you can't adjust it, and then add the cold. You don't need...
Another thing, too, is don't turn the shower on and be getting undressed and doing this and that and the other, and let the shower run this whole time. I know a lot of people that do that. They turn the shower on. I stand in the shower. I don't turn it on till I'm ready to use it. And I know some people, they have cold water come out. But like at my folks this morning, it takes a long time to get theirs hot and warm, you know, their hot water warm. I stood back a ways, and I took the cold water and started washing my face. I didn't need hot water for my face, you know, while I was trying to get it warmed up to do the rest of it.
Because your hot water heater is, if it's not the most energy grabbing that you pay the most for in your electric bill, it's right up there with whatever is. I don't know
Maybe
the statistics.
Yeah.
But anything that heats is supposed to draw the most electric. So you can save a lot if you turn on that hot water.
Yeah.
Okay.
My last one? Well, this one goes with like clothes. Besides buying them at garage sales and that, I take and try to make them last as long as you can. When Tara was little, she would have a pair of pants, and if she'd get a little hole in it, of course nowadays ripped jeans is in style, so I don't even know where to go with that part. But when it wasn't in style to wear ripped jeans, I would put a little flowered applique on it, you know, on top of that. She could still wear them. When it finally got so bad she couldn't wear them, or she outgrew them, you know, they got too high for her, I would cut them off for capris, and she would wear them through the summer as a capri. And then the next summer, especially if your child doesn't grow a lot around the waist and hips and that, this is really easy to do. And my son, Tara either, they never grew that much. It was more in the height. So then the next summer, I would cut that same pair of long pants off and make shorts out of them, you know. If you have little boys, you can make a patch either out of old jeans, or you can buy if you can't sew, you can buy the iron-on patches. When you buy them a brand new pair of jeans on the knee part, or a lot of kids have a certain spot that they wear all the time on their pants, take on the inside of their pants, not the outside, the inside, and glue or iron that patch on. You can't see it from the outside, and it gives it more strength in that area so they don't wear them out, you know, quite so fast. And even shoes in the summer. Don't buy your kids a whole lot of tennis shoes to wear in the summer and different things. If you can buy a good, strong, inexpensive pair of flip-flops, you know, kids always went barefooted in the summer. You just did that and saved their shoes for the winter when they went to school. But you can buy inexpensive flip-flops. Let them do that. Let them get used to running barefoot a lot of times, as much as they can. So start thinking of ways to save. You can just do it the same way on tops. If you get a stain or a Clorox bleach thing, add an applique or try to do something cute like that, for the tops to make those clothes last a whole lot longer. And then I'll quit. Even like if you have a classic type top, but the buttons are, like remember in the 80s we used to wear these huge buttons, but you could do something different. If you're tired of it, change just maybe the buttons on it to make it look different or things. You can do a lot of things like that.
Yeah. All right, so that's our 15 tips.
15, we got them.
We got through all of them.
We got through all 15.
I kind of
Wow.
combined two together when I didn't mean to, but I combined two of mine together. So, all right, dear, you got any last questions?
Chrissy said this is a great discussion.
Thank
Age
you.
is only a number says I'm watching your videos and trying my best to absorb your valuable lessons. Thank you for this
Oh,
content.
Please
thank
like,
you.
subscribe, and share.
Sandy says I wish I knew you guys when I was younger. I made so many mistakes with money when I was younger.
Well, you know now.
and you could change it going forward.
Yes, you
And
know
Music
now.
Man in New Zealand said when we bought this sweet cottage, we paid cash and they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's freaky when people do that.
Oh, and I don't know, you were talking about vacations. You might have already said this, but Donna Snesko is saying they love doing trips to the mountains, that they have a Golden Eagle pass and get into all the parks for free with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also somebody else was talking about living not too far from the beach, and a lot of places where people live, there's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, use the
Yeah,
places that
something.
you have. We happen to have mountains where we are, so we spend our afternoons in the mountains. Mom's in Kansas, she has nothing, so we just won't go there.
But we do have lakes. We do have lakes.
No,
I
I was joking. They have lakes. We have the river we used to go play on and
You go to Uncle
stuff
Dave's
like
house.
that. But use the recreation that you have where you're at. We've been trying to decide where to go on a vacation, and I think now we're just going to take 1 or 2 weekends and just go to the mountains here and just keep it, cheap and simple. And so it doesn't have to be expensive.
We have- Yeah, we have concerts in the park
Yeah,
where it's free.
me
A lot
too.
of places have those. You can just go relax for an afternoon or an evening.
Yep.
And again, this is all to meet a goal of paying off your
Exactly.
debt. Right?
Yeah.
If you've
Exactly.
got the money and
Go
you
for
choose
it.
to
You
do
can
other
buy
things,
whatever you
do it.
want,
But
yes.
if you're really trying hard to find ways to put more money towards your debt, that's where you try and do the extreme saving.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And you think it's extreme, but really, if you could get your debt paid off in 5 years doing these tips instead of 10, you would have another $50,000-$60,000 maybe in your pocket versus not paying. Versus
As
paying
cash
off
that you could just
that you
do
could go
it.
on
You
that
can go on a
vacation.
vacation.
Every year
Yeah.
that you
Buy
keep
that
that
car.
debt, you're not only paying your principal, but your interest goes on the principal, and you're paying interest on your interest.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. Anything else, dear?
I don't think so. I was just looking to see. I mean, there's a lot of comments, but just general.
No
chit-chat,
more
so.
major questions or anything. All
Yeah,
right, guys.
Happy 4th of July,
Oh,
everybody.
I need
Happy
to
4th
tell-
of July.
Can
oh,
I
yeah.
tell Meredith, thank you for my box of fabric I got. Thank
That
you
was
very
amazing.
Oh, yeah, we had fun with that. So thank
Crazy.
you.
So, all right, happy 4th of July,
Or
please.
5th of July if you're down under.
Or 5th of
If
July,
you're done.
which you're not really celebrating anything in Australia
No,
anyway.
yeah.
But hey, Dining on a Dime cookbook.
Happy
Please check it out in the description below. Please go check out BanDana Gramma's website, or why do I keep saying website? YouTube channel.
And my Facebook page is Susie Ban, B-A-N, Dana, D-A-N-A, 3 words.
Yep. So check those two out. Go subscribe, like, and share hers. We are living on a dime. Check us out, and we will see you guys on Monday. Have a great rest of your 4th of July.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy no particular day of the week.
Oh, say, can you see, Mom?